Hello everyone, this is Chase Pounds. In this discussion, we'll be talking about the Irish ethnic group. So what brought me to this topic is on St. Patrick's Day I had watched a documentary remember watching as a kid on the History Channel. It was called the Irish in America, which talks about the Irish that came to America, the Irish immigrants that came to America, I should say, and it spawns all the way from the beginning of the early colonial times during prior to the Revolution, American Revolution, and through the 1840s and 50s during the big wave of Irish, and during the 1840s and 50s during the big mass immigration of Irish immigrants, which I'm mostly familiar with. But some of the stuff they talked about in the documentary kind of made me think that the Irish immigrants that came to America, some of the issues and prejudice they dealt with is somewhat strikingly similar to the African American struggle. Some of you may disagree with this, but to me it seems kind of similar because they mention how some came here on boats crammed. Some died of starvation. Before I even get to that, the reason why many of the Irish came to the United States was due to the potato famine, as well as issues with political issues in Ireland with the British. And a lot of them who came onto the boats were poor and destitute and starved, and probably had the issues of disease. And a lot of them died on the way, and some had to be drawn overboard and were fed to the shark-infested waters, which is somewhat reminds me of how, with the middle passage of the African Americans who came to this country, dealt with the same stroke. Some dealt with the same fate, I should say. But also, what was strikingly similar is when they came to the Americas, how they when they immigrated, and I kind of had when they immigrated to the United States, I had prior knowledge of this, that a lot of the immigrants lived in poor neighborhoods known as slums or ghettos, they were also called, which is kind of also similar to the African Americans, where most of the African Americans reside in the slums and the ghettos. And a lot of them were a lot of new arriving Irish immigrants who came here faced discrimination and prejudice of the Anglo-Saxon Americans, which were mostly people who were probably of English descent. And a lot of them, and as well as they faced not only from the Anglo-Saxon white Americans, they also faced discrimination from other Irish immigrants that previously came to the United States, going back to, again, as I was saying before, during the American Revolution. With some of this I didn't know about, that there was a lot of Irish that came to the United States during the era of the American Revolution. They even mentioned Andrew Jackson was of Irish descent, which I didn't know that, but what makes sense, because he was known for being very hatred of the British because of some traumatizing issues he has a kid when they kidnapped him. And then they also is rumored to have slashed his face, and from that point on, he resented a lot of British people. But what also was strikingly similar is how a lot of the already arrived, or I should say already the previous Americans of Irish descent looked down the new Irish people that came to the United States, which is strikingly similar to how other black folks look down on other black folks, especially with light-skinned blacks and dark-skinned blacks. But I just wanted to say that some of this was strikingly similar to, I guess, somewhat the black struggle, but at the same time, had prior knowledge that a lot of the Irish immigrants were also prejudiced toward African Americans. And this was the case, actually some were Irish immigrants that came to the United States were were slave owners themselves, who settled down in the deep south and became slave holders themselves. But I also had prior knowledge that a lot of the Irish immigrants were also enslaved. Irish were supposed to be enslaved as well, which I don't hear frequently talked about. But there's some stories that's on the internet about it. And then a lot of the Irish were attacked. It was in 1863, known as the Civil Draft, race wise a lot of the Irish came and attacked a lot of the black neighborhoods and destroyed a lot of the black orphanages and black homes, as well as killing a lot of Republicans, which at that time a lot of blacks were Republicans. So that just shows you how interesting about the Irish race is that they're dealt with the same prejudice, but they became prejudiced to other ethnic groups as they, I guess, were blended in with the rest of American society and culture as they were accepted as real Americans after the Civil War. Feel free to comment on this. This is another video by Chase Pounds.